Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dwayne Kimball, United States Army veteran and retired VA rating specialist. Today's video, I'm going to discuss a YouTube comment that I received from a veteran. So thank you for leaving that comment. The veteran told me they went to a high-level review. The decision review officer said, hey, your DBQ is insufficient because the examiner was more than 100 miles away, and for a mental health DBQ from a private provider, it has to be completed in person. In today's video, I am going to break it down. Make sure you stick around. Okay, so one of my subscribers left a comment, said, Dwayne, decision review officer told me at my high-level review conference, the doctor has to be within 100 miles and my mental DBQ completed by my private examiner had to be done in person. And you know what I did? Started doing some research and I got some slides for you, okay? So it's very important. I'm gonna go through these kind of slow because I want you to understand, okay? Because a lot of VA employees, raiders and drones are just telling veterans things, and this veteran, I applaud you because you was like, wait a minute, this sounds like a bunch of BS. And I was like, me too. But let me go out here and do some research, okay? So I'm gonna go through a little bit slow. If you have to pause it, rewind, or whatever you do it, take notes, because if you find yourself in this situation, you will know how to argue fact when you go to that high-level review, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. Slide number one. Here in slide number one, this is the M21 manual reference. You see it in the top left-hand corner. And the name of this M21 is Potential Indicators of DBQ Inauthenticity, okay? Now, as always, I may not highlight the entire M21 manual reference, but you have the number and the name, and you can go out and look at the entire reference. Now, a lot of times I'll highlight stuff in red, just a portion that I'm talking about, okay? But I may not list the entire reference. But in this case, it states, while privately completed DBQs should generally be accepted at face value, as discussed in this particular M21 manual reference, there may be factors that warrant closer scrutiny to assess the authenticity of the information provided. Indicators of potential inauthenticity include, but are not limited to, the following. The non-VA provider identified on the DBQ has contact information that is unverifiable or contains discrepancies, or is located in unreasonable distance, generally. So those two words, look at it. Potential and generally. Which definition are we using? Okay, we should use common sense, all right? Generally more than 100 miles from the veteran's place of residence, yet the provider reported regularly seeing the veteran as a patient and/or that the examination was completed in person. I'm going to explain that in the next slide. But remember those two words, potential and generally, okay? Because when I give my example at the end of this video, everything is going to fall into place, okay? Slide number two. Here in slide number two, this is a copy of part of a DBQ, the diabetes mellitus DBQ, but on all DBQs, it has this information. So what I have circled in red is the veteran regularly seen as a patient in your clinic, yes or no? If the answer is no, put no. But think about the other slide. And then the last question here, was the veteran examined in person? If the answer is yes, put yes. Okay, if the answer is no, put no. Because the third-party examiners, all of their answers should be no, unless there's a small chance that that is your particular doctor, okay? I have seen it before, but it is a small chance that happens, okay? But not saying that it couldn't happen. Then what else did they say? Was the veteran examined in person? Now, again, in my example, at the end of this video, it's all going to make sense. And I'm going to explain it in a way that you can explain it by fact if you have to do a high-level review, okay? Now, moving right along, slide number 3. Here, this refutes the second comment the veteran stated when the DRO said the mental health DBQs have to be done in person. Again, I didn't highlight the entire, or I didn't copy the entire M21 manual reference, but we're only looking at what I have in red here. Important. When reviewing DBQs or medical examination reports, prepared by private non-VA providers via means of telehealth, telemental health, for the purposes of determining adequacy for rating purposes, exercise, prudent judgment by, and it goes on and gives some other information. But the reason why I highlighted that part, what does it state? Non-private, non-VA provider via means of telehealth and telemental. So the DRO was wrong by telling the veteran all mental exams, DBQs, have to be done in person. That is false. And guess what? There's other M21 manual references that talk about non-VA providers, mental health examinations. Okay, this is just one. This is just one. So again, either they just flat out lied to the veteran or they didn't know due to lack of training. In my opinion, it was the first one. Okay, because if you're a decision review officer, you know this stuff. You know it, well, at least you're supposed to know it in and out. Okay, but obviously this particular DRO did not apply common sense, common knowledge, and go out there and do the research. Okay. Now, quick example. Let's just say you got a veteran on the West Coast, living in LA, and they've been getting mental health treatment once a month from a private provider. They move to DC. So that's more than 100 miles away, right? And they've been in DC, let's just say a year, and they continued that treatment, but it's been by telehealth. And the veteran asked the mental health provider, can you complete a DBQ for me? And the examiner says, yeah, no problem. Now, in that particular instance, obviously, could you check the box regularly seen in clinic? I would say yes, because guess what? The veteran's only been in DC a year, but those first 5 years of treatment have been in person. Was the veteran exam completed in person? No. So remember that first slide, more than 100 miles away. The doctor said they were regularly seen in the clinic, but this exam wasn't done in person. Okay. Now, in the remarks section, the doctor can put, I've been treating this veteran for the past 6 years. In Los Angeles, California, the first 5 years of treatment, all treatment was done in person in my office. Veteran has thus moved to LA and we have continued treatment, but it's been done by Telemental. And you can even have the doctor put that M21 manual reference, the last one, that states that they can complete a DBQ by Telemental, meaning by video, okay? So if you fall in that scenario, it's very important that you put that in your personal statement when you're filing that claim with the DBQ, and have the doctor put it in the remarks section of the DBQ or put it detailed on a letterhead. Should you have to go that extra mile to really break it down for that rater or decision review officer, which you can't submit, they're not going to consider it if you submit it after. I'm just saying if you submit it with your claim. They have to apply common sense. You shouldn't have to do it, but I would rather you have it and not need it, and then need it and not have it, especially when you go to a high-level review, because you can't submit any new evidence with that 0996. Okay? So again, you can put it in your personal statement, this example that I showed you, that I just talked about, and have your doctor put it in the remarks section. So when they say regularly seen in your clinic, yes. Was it seen in, were you seen in person? No. that falls under that first slide. But you can explain it if that is the scenario. If it's not, then you have to check yes or no, and still I would give an explanation, okay? Now, for the reason why the DRO told the veteran it has to be done in person, it makes no sense. Even, let me give you another example. Let's say you didn't live in LA. Some friend of yours say, hey, I have an examiner out on the West Coast that is awesome. I work with him, check him out, and you do Telemental exams. And you've been doing it for the last 2 months. Is the veteran regularly seen in your clinic? Now we're talking about semantics. Because technically, the veteran is seen in your clinic if it's by video, because the examiner is looking at you in their office on video, okay? But now we're trying to put a circle in a square. You can check no, but get detail in the remarks section. All conferences have been done by Telemental. Was the person seen in your office? Check no, and in that little box, you can put it there. I would put it on that box and the remarks section. That way, it's on that DBQ twice. Now, I'm not saying go in, not tell the truth. Tell the truth, because guess what? No matter how many times somebody asks you or who asks you, when you're telling the truth, it'll never change, okay? So if you didn't understand it, go back, watch it again. Don't overthink it. Watch it again. Take some notes. So if you fall in this particular situation, you have the M21 manual references. And if you have to go to a high-level review, now you can argue fact, okay? So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and don't forget to share your video. Don't forget to share this video with your fellow veterans. Thank you.